board will now come to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Tyus, Alderwoman Flowers, Alderman Bosley, Alderman Moore, Alderwoman Hubbard, Alderwoman Ingrassia, Alderman Kotar, Alderman Conway, Alderman Gunther, Alderman Vollmer, Alderwoman Martin, Alderman Arnowitz, Alderwoman Murphy, Alderwoman Howard, Alderwoman Green, Alderman Oldenburg, Alderman Roddy, Alderman Kennedy, Alderwoman Davis, Alderwoman Spencer, Alderman Muhammad, Alderman Boyd, Alderman Vaccaro, Alderman Ogilvie, Alderman Cone, Alderman Williamson, Alderwoman Boyd, President Reed.
Here.
Alderwoman Tyus. Alderwoman Flowers. Alderwoman Ingrassia. Alderman Arnowitz. Alderwoman Howard. Alderwoman Green. Alderman Roddy. Alderwoman Spencer. Alderman Muhammad. Alderman Ogilvie. Alderman Cone. 22 present.
Quorum being present, we will be led today in prayer by Reverend Dr. Doris Graham, who's also a member of Delta Sigma Theta. And you know, today is Delta Days, and we have the St. Louis alumni chapter of the Deltas. Let's give them a big round of applause, and thank you for being here. Dr.
Let us bow our heads for a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, we come before your throne of grace, O God, as humble as we know how. We come thanking and praising your most holy name because thou art good. Oh God, we thank you for waking us up this morning and giving us activities of our limbs. But oh God, most of all, we thank you for bringing us to this place, St. Louis Board of Aldermen. Oh God, where they sit here and present the legislative information and that needs to be done to make our city of St. Louis a better place. Oh God, continue to bless them and shower them with all of your blessings. Keep them in good health, a sound mind, oh God. And we just thank you for all that they do. Hear our prayer, we ask in the mighty name of Jesus. Thank God. The people said amen, 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 amen. And amen.
Amen. Love hearing Dr. Graham speak. Can you give her, let's give her a great round of applause for opening prayer today. Alderman Villa, former Alderman Villa, Matt Villa. There you go. Can you bring the girls up? Come on. We have a couple special guests with us today, and we're going to allow former Alderman Villa and the guests. Are you going to come too?
Good morning. You can't get rid of me. Good. We have two very special guests. They are fifth graders at New City School. So we have Aldermen May and Nadia. So they're very interested in the work that you do, and they're going to observe, so please be on your best behavior. And Aldermen May's parents are here, Chris and Melissa. Thank you very much.
Thank you, members and President Reed. I just want to announce that Nadia and Ame will be alderwomen for a day.
So if you get a chance, go ahead. If you get a chance, go and say hi to them, take a picture with them so that they can remember this day. And when they do grow up and get old enough to run for office, hopefully they will run for office, but if they see what it's like, they may change their mind. Alderwoman from the first.
Mr. President, members of the board, I'd like to welcome the two alderwomen for the day, since that was one of my things that I pushed until I got it changed. To hear young people use alderwoman so freely is very enheartening to me, and I would welcome them, and I look forward to them being one of my cohorts at this Board of Aldermen in 20 years.
There you go. Alderwoman from the 19th, recognized on the motion for the courtesy resolution calendar.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I move that we adopt our courtesy resolution calendar for
Moved
today.
by the Alderman from the 19th, seconded by the Alderman from the 12th, Alderman from the 19th, and Alderman from the 18th. Would you like to approach the dais?
Thank you.
And we're going to ask the Deltas to join us at the dais also, just to, so we can properly welcome you here this morning.
People in the front. In the front. Yeah, no, we okay. Good morning, everyone. To this illustrious body this morning, to those who are reviewing us on TV, our general public, I'd like to say to you that we have a group of individuals who have committed themselves to community service by being a member of the Delta sorority. I'm going to allow the president to speak more than myself this morning because they have some very specific things that they're working on, and we need to know about that. And I usually give a roll call for the alderpersons to know where your constituency are. So very quickly, I need you to raise your hand. We're going to go down each ward. Ward number 1, if you live in Ward 1, that's Alderwoman Sharon Tyus. Ward number 2 is Alderwoman Dion Flowers. Ward 3 is Alderman Brandon Bosley. Ward 4 is Alderman Samuel Moore. Ward 5 is Alderwoman Tamika Hubbard. Ward 6 is Alderwoman Christina Ingrassia. Make sure when you're watching that you greet your Delta members. Ward 7 is Alderman Jack Coder. Ward 8 is Alderman Steve Conway. Ward 9 is Alderman Dan Gunther. Okay. And he's a new alderman, so make sure you get to meet him. Alderman for the 10th Ward, Joseph Valmer, Alderman for the 11th, Alderwoman for the 11th Ward. Sarah Wood Martin, Alderman for the 12th Ward, Larry Arnowitz. Okay, this is good. Alderwoman for the 13th Ward, Beth Murphy. Alderwoman for the 14th Ward, Carol Howard. Dr. Carol Howard, a lot of you all worked with her at St. Louis Public Schools. Okay. Alderwoman for the 15th Ward, Megan Green. Alderman for the 16th Ward, and he's new, Tom Oldenburg. Do I say it right? Okay. Okay. Alderman for the 17th Ward, Joseph Roddy. He is our senior, one of our senior aldermen. I'm going to say the same thing about you. Alderman for the 18th Ward is Terry Kennedy. He is the chairman of the Black Caucus and also a senior alderperson as well. The All of our dealings for many, many years have come from the 19th Ward, and I thank you. Alderwoman for the 20th Ward, Cara Spencer. Alderman for the 21st Ward, John Collins Muhammad. He's a new alderperson. Make sure you greet him. I know, right here. Right here. Okay. Alderman for the 22nd Ward, Jeffrey Boyd. Alderman for the 23rd Ward, Joseph Vaccaro. He's back there. Alderman for the 24th Ward is Scott Ogilvie. 25th, oh, here he is. Alderman for the 25th Ward, Shane Cone. I don't see him here today. Alderman for the 26th Ward. Am I right? Yeah, Frank Williamson. Where is he at? Okay, there you are over there. And Alderwoman for the 27th Ward, new alderperson Pam Boyd. We currently have the office of the 28th Ward vacant because we have a new mayor, and we're looking forward to that election coming up. So, Madam President, tell us a few things about Delta Sigma.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Phyllis Russell Smith, and I'm the president of the St. Louis Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And on behalf of the chapter, I bring you greetings on behalf of the annual days, Delta Days at City Hall. This is a time-honored tradition for our chapter. We do this every single year, and we appreciate you all opening your doors to us and welcoming us for this worthy project. You know, we have many, many programs that we have throughout the city of St. Louis, as well as St. Louis County, in the way of our youth programs, and also in the way of our community involvement program as well. So we do a lot of community service within the city of St. Louis, as well as St. Louis County. So again, we thank you for welcoming us, letting us take part of your day, and continue to do the work that you're doing. We appreciate you. Thank you.
I looked over and I saw Madam Treasurer, Tashara Jones. She's a Delta. All right. Our other Mr. President of the Black Caucus.
I'll get here eventually. Mr. President, members of the board, it is certainly my honor to stand here today in front of these wonderful women. These women in the tradition of a Harriet Tubman or a Sojourner Truth, in the tradition of an Ida B. Wells. Where would we be without them? Their commitment to our communities, their dedication to the elevation of life, and the kind and gentle but strong and powerful hand that they bring to our communities. What a gathering of women. They have organized themselves in a sorority that is called the Deltas. But these are women who have come together to improve the quality of life. So whether they call themselves Delta and wore red or not, they are committed to making change. And they represent that each year by coming down here and listening to what we have to say and raising pertinent questions and making sure that we understand that they are on the scene. So no, we did hear you and recognize that you are on the scene. And thank goodness that you are. Where would we be without you? What would life be like if you were not here? As one woman, alderwoman who I sat next to when I first came down here, she said, you know, Kennedy, I was younger than her, you know, so she was almost saying boy, you know. Kennedy, she said, this world would have less wars if women were leading. And so we welcome this spirit here to the Board of Aldermen and that which they bring to the city and that which they have given to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So when I looked over my shoulder, I said, now this is a mighty powerful woman that we must single out, because you know she can carry a gun legally. And I mean in the real legal way. That is our major of the St. Louis Police Department, Rochelle Jones.
a member of our chapter.
Oh, yeah, she's a member of this chapter. She's the Delta.
Any further comments? Any further comments? Alderman from the 4th.
Welcome, and we need a female chief.
Alderwoman from the 14th.
As a former educator and public servant, I want to recognize these ladies as women together where we try to make a difference. I've worked with Dr. Doris Graham, I've worked with Major Jones, and probably several other of you that I may not recognize anymore, but it's been years, and you've always come through. I appreciate, I applaud you, and I'm glad to have worked with you, and would like to continue that relationship. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? I think, Alderman Kennedy, as usual, he says it all, and he sums it up. You never want to come up behind Alderman Kennedy, because he's dropped the mic and it's over. But, I just have to thank each and every one of you for what you do every day to make a difference in our city. St. Louis, we obviously have a lot of challenges that we're working to meet each and every day. But without the Deltas on the scene, working hard each and every day to improve education, to make sure that the families across the city of St. Louis are strong and solvent, and working to get kids off the streets, it would be a much different place, and our challenges would be multiplied 100-fold. So I just want to thank you on behalf of the city of St. Louis and as a father of 4 for what you're doing to enrich the lives of kids and families each and every day. It's making a difference. And you are a magnificent organization. Not only have you had your members reach to the highest levels of government, but you also have put them into outer space. Yeah. So she was a Delta, remember? I just want to make sure. But that's a testament to your organization. It's not, the Deltas are about making changes in a positive way for the community. Alderman from the 21st.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. As we acknowledge Delta Sigma Theta, I think it's also imperative that we acknowledge our treasurer, who is also a member of Delta Sigma Theta, Mr. Sharwar Jones.
That's the second time. We'll do it third time. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Again, I just want to thank each and every one of you for what you're doing, and I invite Aldermen, if you get a chance, make sure to get over and say hi to the Deltas, and then afterwards they're going to be over in room 208, correct? Right. And we'll have an opportunity to talk to you further. But thank you so much. Today is Delta Days in City Hall. Let's give them one more big round of applause. Been moved and seconded that we adopt our courtesy resolution calendar. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Alderman Conway, I need that red jacket, so I'll be in Delta. Y'all doing all of us today. Introduction round of guests. Alderwoman from the 14th.
Good morning, Mr. President and esteemed colleagues. I'd like to have today as my honored guest Demetrius Alfred from Firefighters Local 73, Anthony Lancia from AGC, Clinton McBride from Laborers Local 110, and Megan Shackelford from the Kelly Group.
Alderman from the 6th.
Thank you, Mr. President, I'd like to have as an honored guest today both Mike Sorth and Emma Cluse from Great Rivers Greenway. They provided breakfast and a bunch of helpful information that I believe is still in the leisure room. Allison Dreeth with Nayrel, Missouri, and my daughter, Emma Ingrassia.
Oh, wow. Welcome. Alderman from the 8th.
Introduce Tyson Pruitt. He's a resident of the 8th Ward and is with the Comptroller's Office. I saw him a few moments ago.
Alderman from 26.
Good morning, Mr. President, members of the board. I'd like to announce as my special guest today, the Honorable City Treasurer, Mr. Shara Jones, and she's a resident of the 26th Ward. Also, I have Mr. Percy Green of the Fire Department here, and another resident of 26th Ward, Gwen Cotchill. Thank you.
Alderman from the 7th.
Members of the board, I'd like to have as my special guest today Leonard Johnson, Deputy Chief of Staff to the Treasurer, and also a 7th Ward resident, Rachel Smith from the Circuit Attorney's Office, Martina Johnson from the Realtors Association, and the 7th Ward Committeeman, Marty Joe Murray. Thank you.
Alderman from the 1st.
Mr. President, members of the board, I'd also like to have young Miss Ingrassia be my special guest today because she has a special day today. Today is her birthday. Happy birthday to her.
Alderman from the 22nd.
Good morning, Mr. President, members of the board. I'd like to have Mr. Chris Pickle and Leroy Grant from AT&T and Anthony Lancia with AGC.
Alderman from the 17th.
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to have as an honored guest Gerard Hollis is with us today.
Alderman from the 19th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to have as my guest today Daryl Jones with the Urban League. Also, I have to have as another special guest is Rebecca Barnes. She is also a guild member with the Urban League, past president of the guilds, and a number of other things, but works very hard on behalf of our community. Thank you.
Alderman from the 9th.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I'd like to welcome today also Mr. Demetrius Alfred, as well as Nathan Lett from the Firefighters Local 73, and welcome to Allison Dryth and Kirsten up there in the balcony from Nayrel.
Alderman from the 4th.
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the board. All of you that your name hasn't been called, raise your hand. You belong up top. But I'm going to do you a favor. You're my special guest today, and my very special guest who did the right thing is Linda Primer. Thank you.
Alderman from the 16th.
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the board. It's very proud for me to introduce my special guest, Mr. Dave Sweeney from Lewis Rice.
Any further introductions? Alderman from the 10th, like to wrap us up.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the board, I'd like to point out that Alderman Conway does have a job as an usher at the ball game tonight. That's why he's wearing his outfit over there. They had a hard time finding a 36 squat suit for him, but they did well. All right. Actually, today I do have a couple of guests. I'd like to first introduce Mr. Jeff Hansen, Keith Taylor from the Carpenters. Thank you very much. Today is National Limerick Day. In lieu of the children here, I will avoid that completely, so we'll let that go. But today is a sacred day on the hill. It's Yogi Berra's birthday. This day in 1925, Yogi was born. But more importantly, this day in 1846, the Donner Party left Independence, Missouri for their trip across town. The famous quote, Mr. Donner said, "Come on over tonight, we're having friends for dinner."
For those who didn't get that one, you may want to look that up in history. It wasn't a very... Any further? Alderman from the 8th, I'm speechless. Alderman from the 18th, you recognize on approval of the minutes.
Mr. President, members of the board, I move for approval of the April 17th, 18th, and 28th minutes.
Moved by the Alderman from the 18th, seconded by the Alderman from the 4th. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. opposed, motion carries. Report of city officials.
Report of city officials can be found in sections A, B, and C of the agenda and have been placed in all aldermen's mailboxes.
We would dispense with line items 7 through 10. First reading of board bills.
Board Bill 25, sponsored by Alderwoman Ingrassia, an ordinance recommended by the Planning Commission to change the zoning of property as indicated on the district map in City Block 2076, 2801, and 2803 for property on Magnolia from J Industrial District to F Neighborhood Commercial District and containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 26, sponsored by Alderwoman Ingrassia, and an ordinance recommended by the Planning Commission to change the zoning of property indicated on the district map for properties on Magnolia from J Industrial District to the C Multiple Family Dwelling District and containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 27, sponsored by Alderwoman Davis, an ordinance recommended and approved by the Board of Investment and Apportionment, authorizing and directing the Director of Airports and the Comptroller, owner and operator of St. Louis Lambert International Airport to enter into and execute the Enterprise Leasing Company lease agreement between the city and Enterprise Leasing Company, granting to the lessees, subject to and in accordance with the terms, covenants, and conditions of the lease agreement, was approved by the Airport Commission and containing a severability clause and an emergency clause. Board Bill 28, sponsored by Alderwoman Davis, an ordinance recommended and approved by the Board of Investment and Apportionment, authorizing and directing the Director of Airports and the Comptroller, owner and operator of St. Louis Lambert International Airport to enter into and execute the Common Use Airport Club Concession Agreement between the city and Airport Terminal Services, doing business as Wingtips, granting to the concessionaire, subject to and in accordance with the terms, covenants, and conditions of the agreement approved by the Airport Commission and containing a severability clause and an emergency clause. Board Bill 29, sponsored by Alderwoman Davis, an ordinance recommended and approved by the Board of Investment and Apportionment, authorizing and directing the Director of Airports and the Comptroller, owner and operator of St. Louis Lambert International Airport to enter into and execute the Union Electric Company, doing business as Ameren, Missouri lease agreement between the city and Union Electric Company, doing business as Ameren, Missouri, granting to the lessees, subject to and in accordance with the terms, covenants, and conditions of the lease agreement that was approved by the Airport Commission and containing a severability clause and containing an emergency clause. Board Bill number 30, sponsored by Alderman Moore, an ordinance establishing a three-way stop site at the intersection of Taylor and Kennerly by regulating all northeastbound and southwestbound traffic traveling on Taylor at Kennerly and regulating all northwestbound traffic traveling on Kennerly at Taylor and containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 31, sponsored by Alderman Vaccaro and Aldermen and Alderwomen Howard, Flowers, Kotar, Conway, Williamson, Balmer, Boyd, Cone, Ogilvie, and Gunther, an ordinance enabling the city to join the Missouri Clean Energy District pursuant to Property Assessment Clean Energy Act in order to provide an additional authorized entity through which owners of property within the city may obtain financing for energy efficiency improvements or renewable energy improvements to their property, stating the terms under which the city will conduct activities as a member of such district, prescribing the form and details thereof, authorizing certain actions by the city officials, and containing a severability clause. Board Bill 32, sponsored by Alderman Roddy, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Public Service to conditionally vacate above surface, surface, and subsurface rights for travel on an irregular portion of the east-west alley in City Block 3965, beginning at the west of Sarah and continuing westwardly, bounded by Papin, Sarah, Chouteau, and Talmage. Board Bill 33, sponsored by Alderwoman Spencer, an ordinance establishing a two-way stop site at the intersection of Chippewa and Marine by regulating all eastbound traffic traveling on Chippewa at Marine and regulating all northbound traffic traveling on Marine at Chippewa and containing an emergency clause. That's the extent of our first readings.
Alderman from the 6th, you're recognized.
I move that we suspend the rules to introduce Board Bill 34.
Moved by the Alderman from the 6th, seconded by the Alderman from the 25th. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Tyus. Alderwoman Flowers. Alderman Bosley. Alderman Moore. Alderwoman Hubbard. Alderwoman Ingrassia.
Aye.
Alderman Kotar. Alderman Conway. Alderman Gunther. Alderman Vollmer. Alderwoman Martin, Alderman Arnowitz, Alderwoman Murphy, Alderwoman Howard, Alderwoman Green, Alderman Oldenburg, Alderman Roddy, Alderman Kennedy, Alderwoman Davis, Alderwoman Spencer, Alderman Muhammad, Alderman Boyd, Alderman Vaccaro, Alderman Ogilvy, Alderman Cone, Alderman Williamson, Alderwoman Boyd, President Reed,
Aye.
Alderwoman Flowers, Alderman Conway, Alderman Arnowitz, Alderwoman Howard, Alderman Ogilvy, 26 aye votes.
By your vote, you sustain the motion and introduce Board Bill number 34.
Board Bill 34, sponsored by Alderwoman Christina Ingrassia, Alderwoman Spencer, Alderwoman Martin, Alderman Gunther, Alderwoman Green, and Alderman Conan, ordinance pertaining to and preventing passage to and from a healthcare facility and prohibiting activities near certain facilities and containing a severability clause and an emergency clause. That's the extent of our first reading.
Madam Clerk, please assign Board Bill 34 to Public Safety.
So noted.
Reference to committee.
To the Intergovernmental Affairs Committee, Board Bill 31, to the Public Safety Committee, Board Bills 10 and 34, to the Streets Committee, Board Bills 30, 32, and 33, to the Transportation and Commerce Committee, Board Bills 27, 28, and 29, and to the Housing Committee, Board Bills 25 and 26. That's the extent of reference to committees.
Second reading.
Following board bill was reported out of the Transportation and Commerce Committee. Board Bill number 2, sponsored by Alderwoman Davis, and ordinance recommended by the Board of Estimate and Apportionment, authorizing and directing the issuance by the city of its airport revenue refunding bond series St. Louis Lambert International Airport in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $240 million in one or more series to effect the refunding of a portion of the city's outstanding airport revenue bonds. The issuance by the city of its airport revenue bonds, St. Louis Lambert International Airport in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $70 million in one or more series, or as part of the bonds approved by the voters in 1991 and 2003, containing a severability clause and an emergency clause. The following board bills were reported out of the Streets Committee. Board Bill 13, sponsored by Alderwoman Howard, an ordinance establishing a three-way stop sign at the intersection of Neosho and Atkins by regulating all northbound and southeastbound traffic traveling on Neosho at Atkins and regulating all northeastbound traffic traveling on Atkins at Neosho and containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 15, sponsored by Alderman Ogilvy, an ordinance establishing a three-way stop site at the intersection of Hoffman and Clifton by regulating all northbound and southbound traffic traveling on Clifton at Hoffman and regulating all eastbound traffic traveling on Hoffman at Clifton and containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 16, sponsored by Alderman Ogilvy, an ordinance establishing a three-way stop site at the intersection of Berthold and Graham, regulating all southbound traffic traveling on Graham at Berthold and regulating all eastbound and westbound traffic traveling on Berthold at Graham and containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 24, sponsored by Alderwoman Flowers, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Public Service to vacate travel on the east-west and the north-south unapproved alleys bounded by Penrose, Broadway, Angelica, and I-70 in the city. That's the extent of our second readings.
We will dispense with line item 14 through 19 and 21 and 22, miscellaneous unfinished business.
We have none.
Announcements.
Tuesday, Streets Committee meeting at 9 a.m. in the Leisure Room. Also on Tuesday, Transportation and Commerce meeting at 10 a.m. in the Kennedy Room. Wednesday, Ways and Means Committee meeting Wednesday, Ways and Means Committee meeting at 9 a.m. in the Leisure Room. Please see the attached sheet. Also on Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. through 7:30 p.m., the Ways and Means Committee meeting. There will be a Ways and Means Committee meeting, and that's at St. Mary Magdalene School Hall. And that's on 4924 Bancroft. And that's a citizen input meeting regarding the city budget. On Thursday, May the 18th, Ways and Means Committee meeting at 9 a.m. in the Leisure Room. Intergovernmental Affairs Committee meeting at 10 a.m. in the Kennedy Room. Friday, Full Board meeting, 10 a.m. in the Chambers. Also on Wednesday, Housing Committee meeting at 9 a.m. in the Kennedy Room, and that's an organizational meeting for the new session. That's the extent of my announcements.
Any further announcements? Alderman from the 8th.
Good morning, Mr. President, members of the board. Alderman Valmer and I are both happy to announce that tomorrow morning at 11 a.m., we will be cutting the ribbon to open up the Kings Highway Bridge.
That's only on the 10th Ward side. His side is still closed.
It'll be a festive event. The mayor will be there to cut the ribbon with the aldermen and myself tomorrow. We'll walk the bridge. We'll have a bagpiper. Don Brown is supplying balloons, and O'Connell's is supplying some type of food besides the bagpipers. It's a unique view, actually, from the top of that bridge. It's one of the highest points in South St. Louis. Your view, you'll be able to see all the way to South County when you stand on the top. It'll be open for the pedestrians for about an hour and 15 minutes. And then for the rest of our residents throughout the city of St. Louis, you will be able to traverse 2 lanes each direction and get home faster. We'd also like to announce that, and I know that the clerk had done it, that each year we pick one site to have a public hearing for the Ways and Means Committee, and a public hearing from the standpoint that we will have a presentation of the budget, and we will only take questions and comments from the residents for that period of time. And this will be Wednesday night in the 14th Ward at St. Mary Magdalene School Hall. We generally have fairly good participation. I know that it's a tough budget year. I know that many of your constituents are complaining right now about trash, and we'd love to hear about that or any other complaints they have. Wednesday at 6:30, St. Mary Magdalene School Hall. Thank you.
Alderman from 12th.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I just wanted to get up and again thank the Delta ladies for coming down here today. It's always a pleasure to see you. Former Alderman Matt Villa, bringing the kids down from new school. Always a pleasure to see you too. I also want to take this opportunity and wish all the mothers this weekend a happy Mother's Day.
Alderman from 22nd.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I would like to congratulate all the business graduates from UMSL, including my daughter Brittany, who's graduating on Mother's Day.
Oh, awesome. That's a great Mother's Day. Alderman from the 9th.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Just wanted to announce that tomorrow morning at 9:30 is the 25th Annual Herschel Walker Peace and Justice Awards Breakfast. One of our own colleagues, the 20th Ward, Alderwoman Spencer, will be receiving an award for her service. So please join us. It's at the Painters District Council number 2 tomorrow morning at 9:30. Thank you.
Alderman from the 14th.
Good morning, everyone. I'd just like to remind everybody, Bevo Mill is open and the mill is turning. Welcome to the hottest place in the city of St. Louis. Come on down to the Bevo.
Yeah.
Also, I'd like to tell everyone Happy Mother's Day and hats off again to the Deltas. Thank you for coming.
Any further announcements? Any further announcements? Alderman from the 19th, I know you had a special announcement you'd like to have me invite him up to tell about?
Yes, Mr. President, I think it's important that the body receives this information directly from the coordinator of this event, and that is Mr. Anthony Scalia with the Associated General Contractors.
Mr. Scalia, could you please approach the dais quickly? Quickly. Yeah.
Thank you very much, President Reed. Appreciate you having me up here. I wanted to just quickly let the aldermen know that we are having the construction industries come together to do an outreach event at the NGA site at 23rd and Cass Avenue. We have plenty of unions with their apprenticeship programs coming out. We also have contractor organizations. Contractors will actually be there to give information on how to enter into the construction industry. And this is just an important outreach effort because we feel like not enough people know how to get in the construction industry, what it takes to get in the construction industry. And if they want to give a little of their time, we'll give a little of our time. And I want to do a special thank you to Alderman Marlene Davis, who's been very helpful in giving us support, as well as Alderman Terry Kennedy, who's really just stepped up to allow the construction industry to work with the Black Caucus. So thank you for your time. Yeah.
Any further announcements? I was just up here going through the agenda and the way our rules work with the two young alderwomen for a day. Let me tell you, they are smart. They knew, I tried to quiz them and they knew exactly what I was talking about. The bill has to be read 3 times on the floor, so on and so forth. They knew what the perfection calendar was, the third reading calendar. They are really smart, so let's give the two alderwomen for a day a big round of applause. Come on up. We're gonna let them help us gavel us out today. Come on up. I'll tell you when to hit it. There you go. Step up there. Yes. Alderman from the 18th. Recognized on the motion to excuse.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we excuse the alderman from the 2nd and the 24th for necessary absence.
Been moved by Alderman from the 18th, seconded by Alderman from the 26th. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. So now we're gonna move to adjourn. So when I say we stand adjourned, I'm gonna need you to hit the gavel. Alderman from the 18th. You recognize on the motion to adjourn.
May I take a point of special privilege, Mr. President?
You may.
I just want to point out that you mentioned about the award that the alderwoman from the 20th is receiving. Herschel Walker, many of us knew personally. He was a social activist from North St. Louis and involved in the labor movement. He also helped out many of our black student unions in the 70s when we were trying to bring black studies into the public schools. So we know Herschel Walker and recognize his contribution to our community. Sometimes there are awards named after people and they become invisible.
Yeah.
And people no longer remember why that award has that name. Well, we stand here as a testament to the work of Herschel Walker. With that, Mr. President, I would move that the Board of Aldermen adjourns until 10 a.m. Friday, what is this? May 19th.
Move Alderman from the 18th, seconded by Alderman from the 25th. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We stand adjourned. Hit it one more time.